Hello, Victor here at RestoreMercedes.com. Today I want to make a long, cumbersome video actually about this car that I need to work on. Here it is. This is the 2007 S550. My wife's car. She drives it. She drove it every day, daily driver. Now the thing about this vehicle is it's 2007, so we know that the engine could have had that problem with the balancer shaft, the gear, camshafts, whatever, but I checked the VIN number and the serial number on the engine, and it turned out to be not affected. So the engine is fine. The car was bought a few years back, probably like 4 or 5, I don't know, a few years, and it was driving, everything was fine. A few things were done to it, but other than that, the car was absolutely functional. Every single thing works. All right, so one day she was driving and then she says, oh, the car broke down, I don't know what's going on, she couldn't move it and what have you. So she got off the highway and then she started driving off the ramp a little bit, and she got off the street, and then it just like started to make a lot of noises, and then she was scared, so she stopped. The car was towed back home. All right, now first things first, the car got off the truck and it actually was driving. I was like, what's going on? I mean, everything seems to be fine. But when I went to back it up and sped up a little bit, it started to make this clunking sound, very, very violent one. And then it stopped. It's just like you give it gas, it's like it's in neutral. All right, so I looked it up on the driver's side, and sure enough, the bearing for the intermediate shaft, we'll get to that in a minute. Intermediate shaft bearing that goes through the oil pan here throughout, actually on the other side. Let me pause this video and I'm going to show you the other side of it. Alright, so here we have the oil pan, and this is where the bearing lives, right here. And this is where the intermediate shaft goes through. Differentials on the other side. This is the driver's side of the motor. That's what it looks like. This is where transmission is. So this is where the bearing is, and then the axle snaps onto that intermediate shaft. That bearing I replaced a few years back. I also replaced both axles and everything was fine. But the original oil pan had the bearing snap ring broke together with the casing that holds the snap ring, and obviously the bearing came out, the shaft came out from the differential, and obviously there is no engagement. Now the car is not moving because, well, you have no engagement, right? So the front differential just spins freely and nothing is happening. So I got the whole other pan, oil pan, but I got it just to make the bracket because I don't want to replace it. It's just too much work. But all right, we'll get to the bracket in a minute. The bracket is in the vehicle at the moment, so I'll show you the bracket. Custom made. I mean, I made a bracket that grabs from here, from the other side, and then the plate that holds the bearing in. Very, very close fit, but I managed to fit it in and it works. I still have to do a few adjustments, a few cuts. So let's take a look at that bearing first. I mean, not the bearing, the bracket, because I'm not doing this other job that we're gonna talk about today, but because the car is up in the air a little bit, I can show the bracket. Okay, so this is the bracket. As you can see, this is the bracket with bolts. It's all welded. I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna make another video about it, but it's extremely close to the steering coupler, but the bracket, as you can see, holds the bearing in place now, so I don't have to remove the oil pan and replace it. These oil pans are no longer available, so I found one. A good friend of mine got me that tan. Very rare to find it, but in any event, that is a big job, because imagine doing this, especially without the lift. You obviously have to remove the frame, subframe, which is all this large piece, suspension and all of that, steering rack and what have you. All of that has to come out just to get the oil pan out of there. And then, you know, the front. So anyway, it's a big job. The engine has to be hanging. And I was about to do it, but then I thought to myself, let me try to make a bracket, and it actually works. It holds the bearing, whatever. But once I got the bearing, again, that's going to be a different video about that. I also noticed the differential fluid leaking out, quite wet. There is some oil leaks and what have you, but that's not the concern at the moment. There's some oil leaks over here. That I've done the oil cooler like twice already, but it could have been residual from before, because I recently did the oil cooler seals, engine oil cooler, and you know, that thing right over there, that thing right there, well, whatever, it doesn't focus, but it doesn't matter. These are all common things. I mean, it always happens. So, and I thought to myself, okay, so basically maybe that thing snapped out, and then the bearing fell out, the shaft came out, therefore there was noise, and the car stopped moving, start vibrating and whatever. So I did all that, put it together to test drive it. Axles seemed to be fine, but it was not the end of it. Now I looked at the differential, front differential, and I was like, okay, differential is leaking oil, it's been leaking oil a little bit, differential fluid, and I got me another differential. I was like, you know what, I'll just replace the whole thing. Might as well, because on deceleration there was slight wind, slight whining sound. That's our differential, obviously. As you can see, it's quite wet, but this wetness came out. Now I thought to myself, I was like, no, the oil came out because the shaft came out, so obviously it exposed the seal and it just spat out some fluid, therefore it's wet. So differential is most likely okay, although I'm not liking this situation here. This is what I do not like. If I move the axle, it's slightly loose, but that could be the axle, could be the gears, whatever. I thought to myself, I got a cheap one, so I'll replace differential. It's a big job, but overall, that's not even the problem. We didn't even get to it yet. Then I noticed all this wetness here. I was about to do, I already have the gasket and I already have the fluid and the filter. I was going to do the transmission fluid replacement and then put new gasket over and see what's happening. But I checked out, before I did all this job, this problem happened. So I looked up the drive shaft just to see what's going on there. The drive shaft is made in 2019. I was like, huh, okay, because you know, drive shafts, they do go bad, and I see some marks and some bent brackets where the drive shaft would be. I see some scratches on the bolts, so yeah, that probably failed at some point and somebody replaced the drive shaft before me. I was like, okay, fine, so that shouldn't be a problem, because once you change the drive shaft, then you check everything else. I guess not so much, because this is what happened here, and that's a very common thing. Now up front we don't have any problems, obviously, very nice and tight, absolutely limited play. Drive shaft is original, but we have this infamous problem with the transfer case output gear. That's the problem, right? You know, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I have too many projects. I can't. Look at this. That's a common thing. And when I first checked it, I guess it was in a position where the U-joint there, not the U-joint, like cross, it was in the position where it wouldn't make noises. See, like if you go up and down, it's very, very little, right, the movement. But if you go left and right, there is a lot of movement. So this is the problem that has to be dealt with. And I'm trying to make this video being under the vehicle, so bear with me. Yep, that's the issue. And that is a lot of play. This is horrible. So I have to do some complex amount of work here just because that output shaft is bad. And obviously, I'm not taking the transmission out, but I'm going to be removing the rear portion of it where the transfer case is, plus all of this wetness. Maybe it was leaking and the fluid leaked out, because again, I don't drive this car and my wife drives it. She's not like, you know, she's not a mechanic. I also have a famous leak over there for the evap system that's been leaking. I've done it once, it's held, now it's leaking again. It held for like a couple of years, but now it started to leak again. Clearly see the oil, that's the engine oil, but it doesn't seem like all of this wetness is from the engine oil. Okay, that's the transmission fluid that appears. So that's that. But that I was gonna do that, but then all of this happened with the drivability situation. See, there's lots of fluid here. Excuse me, allergy starts to kick in. So yeah, as you can see, droplets here, and even on the pavement. So there's got to be something going on behind, and that's what I'm going to look into. The seal that's from the output shaft seal is good. There is no leak there. I guess it's around the perimeter or whatever, so the transfer case has to come out. And I got another differential, the front differential I was gonna do, but just because I thought the problem was in it, to be honest with you, because I drove back and forth, and it sounded like it's from the front. The noise was like clunking, like a very heavy clunk was coming from the front. Apparently it wasn't. And I set the car up, so I was gonna do the front differential today, because that's where it is, as you saw it, on the passenger side. So I was gonna jack up the other side, but then I was like, you know, before I do that, let me check the front drive shaft, and this is what we see. So before going for the front differential, I'm gonna leave the setup as is. I probably will have to loosen it up. Well, if I'm removing the transfer case off the transmission, then I don't have to. So, but obviously the car has to be set up differently, because this is the house, this is a very narrow space. Again, I don't really do these kind of things, but for myself, of course, I will. Ideally, I would do it on the flatter surface or turn the car around. So this is basically where we are. The car has 110,000 miles. It's really not that many miles. We got it with like about maybe 80,000. So we got like, you know, 30,000 miles at least in it, and everything was perfectly fine. But even I wore out a set of brakes already. I mean, yeah, we had it for a few years. So yeah, so this is what's happening. I cannot show the noise, but it's like when you go slow forward or back, it drives absolutely fine. There's absolutely no noises, no grinding, no nothing. It's like it's perfectly fine. And I can even go forward, speeding up under load. Like I have to give it a little gas to keep the car under the load, and everything's fine. But if you back up, reverse, you start reversing, you go slow, like 3 miles an hour, no problems. But once you give it a little gas, then it starts to go like dum, 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 dum. Like you hear something is like banging, like knocking, like dum, 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 like something is skipping. And I was like, okay, maybe some gears are broken in the differential and it just skips a gear, right? Like a tooth, because it sounded like it's like it skips the tooth and then it grabs another next one right after. So it's like it spins, dum, 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 like thumping, like knocking. And apparently it's not that. It's apparently because of the cross in rear, I mean in a transfer case. All right, so again, this is a long video, but I'm not gonna do this today by any means. I have to order the whole rear, I mean the whole output gear first, and then I have to reset the car and then work on it. So basically this is where we are. Unfortunately, this particular problem did not pass me by, and I hoped it would never show up, but it did. I'm more into the older cars, of course, like, you know, W140s like that. 163, for example, like that body, that's an old reliable. It's just rusting away, but it runs and drives. Few things I did to it, but it has 240,000 miles and it still runs strong, except for the rust, brake lines, fuel lines, what have you. But it's still a perfectly running car. All right, so it runs fine. Whereas this thing already broke down a few times, and kind of disappointed because miles are quite low relatively, at least half of the W163 chassis. And this is what we got. The car is very dirty because I haven't touched it in like about a month because no time. But now you know, yeah. I have no more words. All right, so I'm gonna cut it quits. Victor here, restoringmercedes.com. Thank you for watching.